I am Supreme. Today's Astro Oracle investigation will be on James Weston Higginbotham. James Weston Higginbotham was a 20-year-old Auburn University engineering student from Hoover, Alabama, who tragically passed away in June 2026 after going missing while on a family vacation in Kyoto, Japan. This happened this month. Today is actually the last day of June. By the time this video is uploaded, it will be July 1st, 2026. This reading was suggested from one of my viewers and subscribers. Shouts out to Monbrat3064. Forgive me for any mispronunciations. I do appreciate you for suggesting content, and as you see, I add your suggestions to my itinerary. I appreciate all of my viewers and subscribers for suggesting content. So let's talk about the disappearance and the search. Weston was last seen May 29th, 2026 near Yamashina Station east of Kyoto. He separated from his family following a minor disagreement. His family initially tracked him using a location sharing app until his phone was turned off. And in fact, the disagreement was an argument that him and his mother had about her using Chat GPT. And this was about, how it affects energy and water, some form of fashion along the lines of that. They got into that whole disagreement about Chat GPT and her use of it, and his knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the effects of it and the environmental effects of it and AI and all of that. So an extensive days-long search ensued involving over 100 Japanese police officers, helicopters, canines, and local volunteers. Now, on June 6th, 2026, a volunteer search and rescue team discovered his body in a heavily forested mountainous area outside Kyoto. So, local authorities in Kyoto confirmed that no foul play was suspected. Out of respect for the family's privacy, officials and police stated they would not release an official cause of death. Following a tragedy, a packed funeral service was held for Weston in Alabama on June 17, 2026, to honor his deep appreciation for nature and ecological conservation. His family requested that his ashes be scattered at an Alabama state park and established the James Weston Higginbotham Endowed Scholarship for Ecological Engineering at Auburn University. That's all that was written on James Weston Higginbotham. Now, the whole uproar about this case I hear throughout the podcasts that I've watched is that why is his family hiding what really happened to him? I mean, after all, no matter what's going to be revealed, it's not going to bring him back. No matter what we find out, unless we find out something that may cause law enforcement to zoom in on somebody in his circle that just may be looking at jail time, possibly somebody in his family. That's the only other thing I could think of on why it is just such a big secret on what happened to James Weston Higginbotham. Like, he's already gone. My condolences to his family. My heart goes out to them. Whichever way that he passed away, My heart goes out to them. But it's like, what's the big secret? The secret has to involve somebody looking at jail time if the truth was to come out. That's the only thing that I can think of. Because anything else would just be, a image thing. Because people die every day. Crimes happen every day. And I'm not saying that, James Weston Higginbotham is no different. But I'm just saying, what's the big secret? So because of this, I am supreme. I am a high-ranking astro-oracle psychic investigator. I communicate with the living and the dead. I have spent some time in the energy of James Weston Higginbotham. And this energy has begged to differ. It wants to be exposed. It wants to be revealed. James wants to talk to you. And I am going to give James Weston Higginbotham a voice. I got my spirit team on board. They will be assisting me. You are about to witness a high-ranking astro-oracle psychic investigation on James Weston Higginbotham. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell button so you will be notified when I drop my high-ranking astro-oracle psychic investigations. Also visit my other channel, Chosen Oracle Messages, which is a channel where I do collective readings on the chosen community. You will know when you are chosen because my readings over there will resonate with your soul. A lot of people don't even know they're chosen until they stumble across one of my readings. And they see themselves in that reading. So I encourage you to go over to that channel. It's in the link below, Chosen Oracle Messages. And like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell button over there as well. I do have a third channel, but it's under construction right now. So I'm still gathering together all of the content that I'm going to put on that channel. I do have content on that channel. It just hasn't been unlocked. Let me slow down. I'm talking too fast. So let's get to James Weston Higginbotham. James was born January the 9th, 2006. And he disappeared May 29th, 2026. That is the date of his last confirmed surveillance footage of him being alive. And he was at a hardware store. They say he was at he made a transaction. They was able to track a transaction he made at a hardware store. They don't know what the transaction was. Now, I'm not sure if this transaction was under surveillance. I mean, if it was, they would have saw what he bought. Or this was just another way that they was able to track, during the investigation, they can track your history of your locations and things like that. And I feel like that's how they found out he was at the hardware store. He made a transaction. But I'm trying to figure out if they knew he made a transaction, why don't they know what transaction he made? Around that time, I'm quite sure you can go to the hardware store. Hopefully they have footage. And if not, I'm quite sure they have a history of transactions that I don't know, but I'm not an investigator at the surface, but I will be digging beneath the surface. And I will be pulling up some very intense information concerning the death of James Weston Higginbotham. On January 9th, 2006, when he was born, the sun was in Capricorn and the moon was in Taurus. When you put a Taurus moon in Capricorn's house, which is the 10th house, Leo comes first. Leo comes first in James' birth chart. James is not a Leo. He is a Capricorn. Where is Capricorn at? Capricorn is over here in Virgo's house, which is the 6th house. That's Virgo's house. That is the house of health, work, employment, and daily routine, which is something we know James Weston Higginbotham was very big on. Now, his moon was in Taurus. And Taurus is over here in Capricorn's house, which is the 10th house of success. Capricorn energy is the GOAT. That is the authority figure, the father figure. When it comes out in the 6th house, this can also be management and the boss at work. We don't know if a boss is prominent in this reading, but we're going to find out. Now, in the 10th house is where James' moon is. The moon in Taurus is about money, finances, material possessions. And when it's in the house of success, this is Capricorn's house. When it's in the house of success, public achievement, and status, this is James' financial success, financial achievements, and status. Now, James did have a good job. I was able to look up his employment history before he disappeared. And I'm going to go over what I investigated on his employment history. James Weston Higginbotham was a student at Auburn University studying biosystems and environmental engineering. Alongside his studies, he worked at the Auburn University Research Department. Very good job. Now, he also had athletic involvements and achievements. The Auburn Club Climbing. Weston was an active and passionate member of the university's climbing team, frequently traveling and training with a group. Y'all know who the group is. Whenever I don't know the signs of a person, place, or thing, I follow the sign of its description. So they're describing a group that he was a part of. I'm looking for my markers. Well, the one that I use for the cards, but I'm going to use this one. So Aquarius is always the energy that I follow that will let me know about any type of group involvement. And the 11th house is Aquarius's house. That will let me know the nature of the individuals that's a part of the group. Aquarius will let me know where this group is at. The 11th house, whatever's going on in the 11th house, will let me know the nature of the individuals that's a part of this group, as well as James, who was a part of the group as well. So, Auburn Triathlon Club. Forgive me for any mispronunciations. Aquarius energy is also clubs. Groups of people, clubs, not like the partying club. That's Leo energy. Not like the nightclub or the strip club. That's Leo energy. Group clubs that involve people in an organization, those type of clubs, that's Aquarius energy. And that's the type of club that we're talking about here, the Triathlon Club. He maintained a highly disciplined, rigorous training schedule and competed in university triathlon events. So, shortly before his passing, he had completed an Ironman triathlon and was actively training for an upcoming half Ironman competition. He acted as his family's adventure leader, navigating complex backcountry terrain across the Camino de Santiago, the Pyrenees, Yosemite, and Swiss Alps. Again, forgive me for any mispronunciations. So he acted as his family's adventure leader, navigating complex backcountry terrain. Now, something tells me that along his family leadership, him and his mother had this opposition, had a lot of oppositions going on concerning what he understood about his work and his studies and about what she understood about what she knows. Because they had a huge argument about this chat GPT. Because apparently James understood things, I guess, that's detrimental to the environment and what he studied about chat GPT and his mother's use of it. You can research all of this for yourself online about the nature of the argument that James Weston Higginbotham had with his mother. Like, you can literally ask Google, what was the argument about with James Weston Higginbotham and his mother? And Google will tell you what the argument was about. So, let's look at where Aquarius is in James' energy. Aquarius is over here in the 7th house. So, this is where the group is. So, the group is in James's house of personal relationships. This lets me know that there is somebody from this group, triathlon group, and one of these clubs that he was a part of, that James had a significant one-on-one partnership. It could be a good one-on-one partnership. It may be romantic. It may be business partnership. Either way it goes, this is a one-on-one partnership with somebody. And it doesn't always have to be good. This can be an enemy too, or one-on-one direct enemy. Now, the 12th house represents hidden enemies, while the 7th house represents raw and uncut direct enemies in your face. The 7th house is the direct op. The 12th house is the indirect op. The enemy that you don't know is your enemy. And in that house of hidden enemies, I see James's mother. Cancer is the mother, home, and family. This is James's mother and family. I'm just reading the chart. Energy doesn't lie. The family and the mother showed up in James' house of hidden enemies. Why? Now, what's going on in the 11th house, which is where I also said I was going to look? I see Gemini. That's Aquarius's house. Now, Gemini represents interaction, the local environment, early childhood education, people you grew up with in school, people you went to school with, people who lived in the same neighborhood as you. So if there is an individual that James grew up with in school or went to school with in the local environment, the local neighborhood school buses, or was a neighbor in his community, which is what the 11th house is all about as well, community. But Gemini represents the neighborhood. Aquarius represents the communities in that neighborhood, the different groups in that neighborhood. Now, if you look inside of Gemini's house, which is the 3rd house, it will elaborate on the nature of whoever this person is. In Gemini's house, I see Libra, the partner. Now, Libra rules the 7th house where this group is. So this person right here that's a part of James' circle is somebody he went to school with, or somebody from his local environment. This significant one-on-one partnership that showed up in Libra's house as the group, somebody from the group or the club. Now, Leo comes first. Leo is celebration. Leo is entertainment. Leo is theatrics. Leo is also drama. Leo rules the sun. Leo rules self-expression. That's what comes first in James Weston Higginbotham's chart and energy. But in order to elaborate on what exactly was he expressive about, because there's 12 different Leo energies by following the sun, which rules Leo. And James's sun is in Capricorn. So wherever Capricorn is will let me know what James's self-expressive nature was all about. And Capricorn is in his 6th house of work and employment. And Capricorn represents the status of this work and employment. This is boss energy, management energy, bossing up, moving up the ladder, financial success, which is where his moon was. The 6th house is Virgo's house. Now let's go to the disappearance chart, because that's going to make sense of what's going on in this chart. That's going to animate exactly what's going on in this chart. Now, being that we're also trying to uncover what really happened to James, how he actually died, let's first look in the house of death in his birth chart. The house of death, I see Pisces. Pisces is the energy of the hidden. Pisces is our most etheric energy. It is non-physical. It rules intoxication. It rules mind-altering, mood-changing substances, addictions. Pisces also rules spiritual warfare, enemies, unseen enemies, because Pisces rules the 12th house. And remember, when we looked inside of James's 12th house of unseen enemies, we saw his mother and his family. Now, what was his mother and family energy? Now, I'm not saying his mother was his direct enemy. All I'm saying is I'm reading the chart. And energy doesn't lie. You can go look at all of my readings. Energy does not lie. I see James's mother and his family in his house of hidden enemies. Now, what exactly were they hidden enemies about? Let's follow the planet that rules Cancer, which is the moon. James's moon is in Taurus, up here in the house of success. Taurus is money and material status. Financial success plays a role in the hidden enmity from his family. Let's go over to the disappearance chart and see what comes first. That day, May 29th, 2026, the sun was in Gemini and the moon was in Scorpio. Now, before I pull that chart, let's look at where Gemini and Scorpio is in James' energy, because that will begin what's going to come out in the disappearance chart. Now, the sun on May 29th, 2026 was in Gemini. Where was Gemini at January 9th, 2006 when James was born? Gemini is right here in the 11th house, which lets me know that the sun, the day he disappeared, was in the energy of this particular individual, an interaction that came from his local environment, early childhood education and schooling. And it came from the house of this club that showed up in the house of partnerships. Somebody he was in a relationship with. Now, Gemini is also the sibling energy as well. Now, where's Scorpio at? Scorpio is in the 4th house of home and family. Scorpio represents power, control, death, shared resources, and sex. Now, who is about power and control, shared resources, sex, and death? It's in the house of family. And like I said, his family showed up in the house of hidden enemies. The same hidden enemy energy, because this is Pisces' house, but Cancer is there. Pisces is in James's house of death. That is the beginning of what leads to his transitions. Now we are about to look at the end result of what could have happened and what most likely happened to James Weston Higginbotham. When the sun is in Gemini and the moon is in Scorpio on May 29th, 2026, when James disappeared, when you put a Scorpio moon in Gemini's house, which is the third house, look what comes first. Virgo. The same Virgo, because this is a sixth house chart, because Virgo is the sixth sign of the zodiac. And the sixth house is where James was bossing up his career. Because Capricorn is career and the sixth house is employment. Where was Virgo at? Since Virgo comes first, where was Virgo at in James' energy? Right here in the house of money. The money, his financial status. This is Taurus's house. And James Taurus is right here in the house of success, financial success. Now, look where Taurus is the day it happened. It'll elaborate on the financial success right here in the ninth house of mountainous terrains. This is the house of long journeys, travels in the mountains and the woods. This is Sagittarius's house. This is the house of where James was a leader to his family during his explorations in the woods, the mountainous terrains, the environment, and all of his higher knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of these environments. That's all ninth house activity right there in Sagittarius. Now, look what's in the house of death that day. Aries. And y'all know Aries represents the self. It rules the first house and it rules the physical body. It rules the self. When the self shows up in the house of death, what type of death do you believe this is? Suicide. You can't make this up. May 29th, 2026. In the house of death, in relation to James Weston Higginbotham's energy, this is a self-inflicted death. This is a suicide. Was this the secret that they were hiding? All I'm doing is reading the chart. I see suicide. Now, Mars is the planet that will elaborate on this suicide. Let's follow Mars. Mars that day is in Taurus, right here in the ninth house on the journey, where they found his body. You can't make this up. Mars is also in James' Taurus energy. You can't make this up. You cannot make this up. Venus is the planet that will elaborate on Taurus and this journey. Venus rules Taurus and Libra. So Venus will let us know about the other person that's in the energy of this suicide. That day, Venus was in the mother, Cancer, and the family, which shows up in James's 12th house of hidden enemies. You cannot make this up. Argue with the energy and the time. You can't argue with me, because I'm reading the energies. I don't know James Weston Higginbotham. All I know is that he was born January 9th, 2006. I know where the planets were that day. And then I also know what day he was last seen alive, the May 29th, 2026. So all I did was look at where the planets were that day and connect the dots. And by connecting the dots, I can see what I'm explaining to you. That's how I know James committed suicide. During his journeys, this trip. The ninth house is also the long distance trip to Japan. Ninth house is long distance travels, foreign travels. Now, Venus was in Cancer that day. And Cancer, which is home, family, and the mother, is right here in the house of groups. That's Aquarius' house. Remember, I told you I'm going to look at what's going on in the 11th house. Why is his family showing up in the house of the group? Because he was the leader of that group. His family. And his family is also his hidden op. Argue with the time. Don't argue with me. Where's Aquarius at that day? Right here at work. Because that was the nature of the group with his family that involved his employment. His employment status. Everything is showing up the way it's supposed to. So, this is what I saw, because I'm hearing voices. Because James wants to talk. And I don't blame him. I saw possible financial increase and jealousy. Management, promotion, status. Talk to me, James. I also see somebody a part of his romantic life as well. It could be somebody he worked with. I see a celebration too. What were they celebrating? I see a strong father energy. Could be the boss, could be the manager. Definitely see suicide, self-infliction. And I saw a defamation of character about his status. Who was trying to defamate his character? I think we have a good idea. He already had an enemy from his work team. Because Pisces, which is the enemy, energy, started in his house of death. But Pisces came from the 7th house of relationships. What type of relationships? The relationship that he had with that individual from the group or the club. What group is this? Look in Aquarius's house the day it happened, the 11th house. The group of family members. Who is this enemy from his group of family members? James, talk to me. Tell me your story on what really happened to you. Talk to me, James. Talk to me, James, and tell me what really happened. I know you committed suicide. Talk to me. What was going on? 4 cards. What was going on, James? Talk to me. James Weston Higginbotham. Talk to me. Why did you disappear? What was going on with you and your family? 1, 2, 3, 4. We have home, family, something going on at home. That's the 4th house. We have sex. Now, it's ironic that in James' chart, These two cards is this alignment right here. Home, the fourth house, and Scorpio sex. Remember I told you, Scorpio is sex, death, and shared resources. What was going on at home? Home and sex came out, and that's this alignment right here. Self-image. Remember, this is an Aries card. So this was about the deformation of his self-image too. And he had an issue with his self-image. Was James possibly a homosexual? Was he battling with his sexuality? I don't know. But that would make sense. Theft. Why did the theft card come out? This is a Taurus card. Why did theft come out? Self-image. First house. His employment image. You know what? I want James to pull a chart. Elaborate on these voices, James. Open up a chart that will confirm why you committed suicide. Because I'm almost certain he committed suicide. All the dots connect to suicide and self-inflicted death. And if that was the secret, I mean, it's not really a secret. People commit suicide every day. It's sad, but whether we know the secret or not, it's not going to bring him back. The only reason why I feel like you would want to hold a secret like that is if that secret also involves somebody that could be looking at possible jail time. Open up a chart, James. Talk to me. Open up a chart and let me know in your own words what was going on with you that day. I'm going to cut the deck. Mercury in the third. This is a Gemini card. This is a raw and uncut Gemini card. Okay? The third house is Gemini's house. Mercury is the planet that rules Gemini and the third house. Mercury is at home in the third house. This is a phone call. This is communication and interaction. There were things that were said. This is a Gemini card. There are things that were said. Now, Mercury is in Gemini. That's not why I said this is a Gemini card. Because James's Mercury is in Capricorn. But Mercury is still a Gemini energy. Mercury rules Gemini. And so does the third house. So, Mercury, the day he disappeared, is actually in Gemini. So let's pull this chart. When Mercury in Gemini lands in its own house, guess what comes first? Aries, the suicide. You can't make this up. There goes Gemini right there in the third house. You watched me pull this card after shuffling the hell out that deck. The suicide comes first. And this is a first house chart. This is the chart of self-image. You cannot make this up. You can't make that up. Aries comes first. Aries is the suicide. And I just asked James, tell me what happened. So yes, he committed suicide. And this was about communication. There are things that were said that cannot be, and I wrote that the fuck down. I wrote that down. Look at that. Because Gemini, look, I wrote down Gemini came out in the 10th house. In James's, the day it happened. 10th house. Communication was exposed. This is what I wrote down. Things were said that could not be unsaid. You see that? I wrote it. Things were said that could not be unsaid. This is what was said right here. His co-workers are prominent. This group that he was with. And we know the group was, his family was a part of that group. We now know there are things that were said. Now, James's Mercury is in Capricorn. Capricorn is his status, his career. But Capricorn is also the father figure, the boss and the manager. So was these things that was said have a lot to do with his career? Defamation of character, which is what I wrote down. You can't make this up. You cannot make this up. And look what's in the house of death. Scorpio. It rules the house of death. The same Scorpio that came from James's fourth house, where he pulled this home, because that's the home house. That's Cancer's house. Fourth house is the house of home, family, and the mother. And Scorpio rules sex. Why is sex coming out in the home? And then along with self-image and theft. Who's having sex in that home? Or is this talking about somebody's sexuality? Particularly James's sexuality. I don't know his sexuality. It doesn't matter. You can have sex with whoever you want to have sex with. But there are people that make that an issue. There are people that make your sexuality an issue. Those people are more disgusting than how they are trying to paint a person's sexuality. And I always say that on all my videos. Y'all know I don't play about people who suffer from drugs and alcohol. And I also don't play about people judging other people's sexuality. Because if that's not what you do, you have no business worrying about what somebody does with their dick or their pussy. That's their sexual parts. Whatever they do behind closed doors is their fucking business, not yours. And I always say that in all my videos. I take up for the underdog. I don't give a fuck. I ain't afraid of nobody. I take up for what's right. And it's not right when you judging people according to their sexuality. Why are you worried about what they do? Do you worry about what a person do when they go in the bathroom? Or what you going in there to do, number one and number two? The fuck difference do it make? We worry about the wrong things. If you don't smoke cigarettes, why you worrying about if somebody else smokes cigarettes? Oh, you smoke cigarettes? For what? Do you fucking want one? It's that simple. Are you gay? For what? You want to fuck? Then what you worried about it for? That's my point. This is why we should stay in our own lane. Never worry about somebody's sexuality. Never worry about what somebody does behind closed. That's their fucking business. I feel so bad that this happened with James. Why? That sex card, though, it could have been sexual molestation growing up. But being that the self-image card came out, I believe this was about his sexuality, self-image. You know, people love to play that card, especially when you're doing well and they can't say nothing about you. They'll find something. If it's not about what you eat, if it's not about who you're having sex with, if it's not about your habits or your addictions, they'll point out something about you that people are so fucking disgusting. You know, when it comes to them trying to be so judgmental. People need to take a look in the fucking mirror. Worry about the man in the mirror and what you eat and what you do behind closed doors. Why did this happen to James Weston Higginbotham? Why was this young man driven to take his own life? And why was it such a secret? Why? Why was he driven to take his own life? And why was it such a secret? I'm going to pull 2 cards. Why he was driven to take his own life and why this was such a secret. Cut the deck. 2. 1, 2. Foul play. 12th house attack. You know who this is. His family. Because in James's 12th house, I told you, this is the house of the hidden enemy. The hidden op. His family. The mother. You can't make that up. Argue with the cards and the time. Don't argue with me. Foul play. The 10th house. The house of career. Look what's in the 10th house. Taurus. That's this theft too. Was somebody stealing money from him? Foul play. Who was stealing money from him? Who was stealing money from him? And that's a part of the conversation, things that were said too. Because look at Gemini, the 10th house, the day it happened. This was a public conversation. There were things that was publicly exposed. Look what's in the 10th house in the chart that James pulled to tell his story. Capricorn, his career. His career, Capricorn is also his father and his boss. Yep, that's what happened. I'm not pulling any more cards because we know what happened. James Weston Higginbotham unalived himself, self-inflicted, committed suicide. That's my reading on James Weston Higginbotham, and I'm sticking to it.